At number 10, Jamie Lynn Spears. Back in 2008-ish, Jamie Lynn Spears was going through quite a lot. At the time, she was dealing with the news of her pregnancy being exposed, but she was also dealing with being canceled. At the time of her pregnancy, news came out about the beloved Nickelodeon show Zoey 101 being canceled. Now the public seemed to have put the pieces together and made the assumption that the show was being canceled because of Jamie's pregnancy, and then they just ran with it. As a result, fans berated the actress, and for years they mocked her kid as the reason why the show ended. She didn't deserve that kind of treatment then, and since things about the end of Zoey 101 have been cleared up, people are now realizing that they jumped to conclusions way too early. In an interview she did with Nylon magazine last year, Jamie cleared up some Zoey 101 drama and actually revealed that the show had finished filming months before she even got pregnant. In the interview, Jamie said, quote, "I didn't become pregnant until probably 6 months after we wrapped or something like that, but some of the episodes had not aired yet. The show had already wrapped and there was never a negotiation to go into any more seasons. We were too old. It was done." Jamie left the limelight to raise her daughter, and that was that. There was no drama with the pregnancy playing a role in the show. Those two things were completely separate, which just means that people canceled Jamie for no reason. At number 9, Rebecca Black. I think that we all know Rebecca Black for her viral Friday song and music video. Everyone in middle school was singing that song when it came out, me included. Rebecca became famous almost overnight, but she faced a lot of negativity as well, and you could say that she was even canceled at the time. Rebecca was bombarded with hate comments for months, all for creating a silly song and music video that people really dubbed the worst video in the world. If you don't believe how badly she was treated, just think about the fact that she was invited on Good Morning America, and the news anchors really asked a then 13-year-old Rebecca whether the negative response to her music video had made her think about taking her own life. I mean, come on, that is so uncalled for. Rebecca is still performing and making music that is 10 times better than Friday, so go support her to make up for the years of torment that she was subjected to unnecessarily. At number 8, Ashlee Simpson. Though people sometimes call it the worst moment in SNL history, it's a scandal that was blown out of proportions and ended a career. In 2004, Ashlee Simpson was invited on SNL as their musical guest to perform a few of her songs to promote her then newest album at the time, Autobiography. She planned to perform a few songs from said album, and it started off fine when she performed her first song, Pieces of Me. When she got the band set up for the next song, music started playing, but it wasn't the song that anyone was expecting to hear. A vocal track for Pieces of Me started playing again instead of the next song in her set, revealing that Ashlee had been lip-syncing the whole time. This scandal greatly affected her career as she lost credibility as a singer because she was caught lip-syncing, but also because she faced ridicule because of how embarrassing that moment was. Later on, we found out that this was all caused because Ashlee was advised by her father to have the vocal track and lip sync because she was suffering from some severe acid reflux that had been causing damage to her vocal cords, and he wanted her to rest her voice a little. There was a bigger reason behind the whole thing, but you know that cancel culture doesn't take into account the outside information. She was left ridiculed by the public, and her career was never the same. At number 7, Colin Kaepernick. Though you might not be familiar with the name, you no doubt know the movement. Former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick caused a huge scandal all because he took a knee during the national anthem. He did this because he, quote, refused to support a country that he believes oppresses black people and other minorities. His actions caused a huge stir in the sporting community, mostly in the NFL. As a result of Colin refusing to stand for the anthem, every NFL franchise colluded to keep him out of the league. Colin ended up blacklisted from the NFL, even though his actions never broke any law or rule. The only thing he received in return was a settlement from the league and prompt social cancellation. During an interview with the NFL media, Colin defended his actions, saying, quote, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football and would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the streets and people getting paid leave, getting away with hurting others. This is not something that I'm going to run by anybody. I am not looking for approval. I have to stand up for people that are oppressed." End quote. At number 6, Hayden Christensen. Imagine getting canceled for something that was completely out of your control. Well, that's pretty much what happened to actor Hayden Christensen after the release of Attack of the Clones, one of the Star Wars prequel films. When the film was first released back in 2002, critics tore the film's dialogue apart, especially the dialogue between Anakin and Padme. As a result, Hayden was ridiculed and mocked for his acting capabilities, even though many critics agreed that he just didn't have the best dialogue to work with. Even still, that is no reason to shun someone. You can't get mad at the actor for something that was out of his control. As for the writing, George Lucas continues to defend the prequels and their dialogue. At number 5, Peter Norman. Another athlete who faced cancellation undeservingly was Peter Norman, the Australian Olympic athlete who was pretty much cancelled because of his support of the Black Power salute. The 1968 Olympics in Mexico became a huge event in sports history when athletes Tommy Smith and John Carlos took the podium with their fists raised high and their heads bowed in a pose of Black Power. Next to them on the podium receiving his silver medal was Peter Norman. Though he did not raise his fist, he did join in the Black Power movement as he took the podium wearing a badge that read Olympic Project for Human Rights, an organization that was set up the year previous in opposition of racism in sport. Smith and Carlos returned home to their respective communities heroes and have been praised as human rights pioneers, but as for Peter, he was blacklisted. He returned to Australia to be greeted with hate. He never ran the Olympics again. At number 4, Janet Jackson. The Super Bowl halftime show is one of the biggest television spectacles of each year. Millions of people tune in annually to watch the year's biggest performance. So really, the stakes are quite high for whoever is on stage that year. During the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show, viewers watched a serious wardrobe malfunction happen that was life-changing and career-altering to say the least. Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake were performing together when a move went wrong and Janet's breast ended up being exposed. Following the incident, the media dubbed Nipplegate, the FCC sued CBS for the live incident in a $550,000 lawsuit citing indecent exposure for their cause. Janet Jackson was also really put through the ringer for her part in the whole scandal, even though none of it was her fault. As a result, she was uninvited to the Grammy Awards that year, and her songs were blacklisted from the radio. Even the next few albums she released following the incident was met with negative reviews because of this scandal. It was later discovered that the whole incident happened because the two performers had added a costume reveal to their performance at the last minute, and though it was rehearsed, the stunt failed at the last minute, resulting in Janet's exposure. It was all just a huge accident that caused a huge scandal and ended with someone getting canceled for no reason. At number 3, Tyger Woods. Tyger Woods' 2009 bombshell cheating scandal shattered his good boy image and ended with him getting canceled as a result. It all started when Tyger had crashed his Cadillac into a fire hydrant, and this incident made headlines, but these headlines also drew attention to other headlines he had made days earlier after tabloids published a story alleging that Tyger was having an affair with a nightclub manager. Soon, one alleged affair turned into many more as 6 women ended up coming forward saying that they had also had intimate relationships with the golfer. Tyger issued statement after statement and apology after apology until he was left picking up the pieces of his tarnished reputation. He had sponsors drop him because of the scandal, even though it had nothing to do with sports. Tyger went through a rough time being exposed for an addiction and infidelity, but none of that was cause for canceling him and ruining his career. At number 2, Britney Spears. In 2007 and 2008, Britney Spears was well and truly canceled. This was all a result of her troubled time in the media. During this time, the media was putting pressure on her with allegations that she had cheated on Justin Timberlake, which we now know, thanks to the Framing Britney Spears documentary, was all because Justin wanted to use their breakup for publicity. Britney was also being scrutinized for an apparent substance abuse problem, to which she entered rehab for, albeit for a short period of time, only spending 24 hours at a facility in Antigua. Following this scandal, Britney found herself making headlines again after news sources reported on how Britney had taken clippers to her head and went bald. Following the hair shaving fiasco, then came the umbrella incident. This all ended with the media labeling Britney as crazy, and her life went downhill, with her ex taking over custody of her sons and her father being given conservatorship over the pop star. Britney did not deserve to be treated like that by the public, so this new Free Britney movement can almost be seen as the public making up for how she was treated years ago. And finally, at number 1, Winona Ryder. Actress Winona Ryder hit rock bottom in the media after her shoplifting scandal back in 2001. Winona was caught stealing merchandise from a Saks Fifth Avenue in Beverly Hills, and this scandal ended her career for quite a long time as she was sort of canceled for it. The actress was arrested after stealing $5,500 worth of merchandise and was charged with grand theft and vandalism and was found guilty of her crimes. She was forced to pay a fine of $2,700 and had to complete 480 hours of community service. It's hard to imagine that this scandal left her canceled, while these days people can tweet out horribly offensive things or be caught in scandals with fans, James Charles, and walk away from it. Yes, what Winona did was bad, but I don't think she deserved to be canceled over it when there are people out here doing much worse.
Starting off this countdown is Kevin Hart. He's an adored comedian and actor, but that hasn't always been the case. There was a time in his career when people were against him, but the hate was kind of justified. Kevin had sent out some homophobic tweets that only he thought was funny. The tweet that caused the most controversy was, I quote, "Why does Damien DW's profile pic look like a gay billboard for AIDS?" But since then he has taken full responsibility and has owned up to his mistakes with genuine apologies to back it up. He has fully supported the LGBTQ community and people have given him a second chance. He's a funny guy, guys. I really like him. Don't agree with his tweets, but you know, we all make mistakes. Up next, number 9 is Nicole Richie. People hated her for a very long time because of her reputation on her reality show The Simple Life. The show followed her and her best friend Paris Hilton as they tried to live normal lives on farms without any of their own money or cell phones. Some people thought it was funny and entertaining, but for the most part, people just hated seeing the spoiled girls getting their own ridiculous show like this one. But over time, Nicole got involved in the fashion industry and started a very successful career outside of reality TV. She is now married with 2 kids, has a successful fashion line, starred on the NBC sitcom Great News, and is a judge on Making the Cut. Making his way into number 8 is Zac Efron. This one isn't on my personal list because I never hated him. He honestly, he was truly one of my first loves. But there's a large majority of people who couldn't stand him during his High School Musical days. And they really didn't like him after he left and started playing the boy next door in most of his movies. But as he got older, people warmed up to him as he stayed out of the Hollywood drama and kept to himself for the most part. One fan shared a picture online and said they grew love for him after he bought one of his fans a new phone because his had shattered while trying to take a video of him. How nice is that? You didn't have to do that just because a fan's trying to get a picture and they drop it and it shatters. Most people would have kept walking. In spot number 7 is Kesha. People used to ridicule her for her style, music, and questioned her talent. She obviously had fans that helped her career be successful, but people argued her talents and if she deserved the opportunities and fame that she had in comparison to other artists. But she started to get a ton of praise and celebration when she released her album Rainbow, which came out after a 5-year hiatus. The album was a result of a years-long legal battle with Dr. Luke, her former producer, over and physical and emotional abuse allegations. She was stuck in a 5-year record contract and could not release music until she was outside of the label. So when she left the label and released her powerful song Praying, people started to respect her more. Sliding into number 6 is Neil Patrick Harris. He broke out as a child star, but his career stumbled for a while until he booked a quick cameo in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. This seemed to get him more notice and he later landed the role as Barney Stinson in How I Met Your Mother. His character on the show had a lot of people, mostly women, lose respect for him. They didn't like how his character treated women in the show and they couldn't really separate the fact that it was just his character. But people got to know the real him and he came out as a homosexual and was the first openly gay man to host the Academy Awards. He's also been named on the most 100 influential people list by Time magazine. Halfway through at number 5 is Winona Ryder. Her career was in full swing during the late 80s and 90s, starring in classics such as Beetlejuice, Heathers, and Edward Scissorhands. But in 2001 she was arrested on charges of shoplifting and possession of illegal prescription drugs. People lost respect for her after seeing shoplifting footage and her career stalled for a while. But she did admit to her wrongs and turn her life around for the better, landing a role in 2016 on the TV series Stranger Things. She spoke about her time away from acting and said, "A lot of actors have ups and downs. I think mine were, people might see them as awful, but I learned and I appreciated the time away." Since then, people continue to praise her acting skills on Stranger Things. She kills it. Swiping the number 4 slot is Justin Bieber. When he first got introduced to the music industry, he was just a kid with flippy skater hair. It was kind of hard to hate him. He was a kid. But as he grew older, people started to have more of an opinion about him and his choices. Like the time he showed up to meet Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper in a pair of overalls. Or the time that he spit on his fans. Or the time that he tried to fight the paparazzi. Justin ended up taking a break away from Hollywood, but recently came back as a brand new person, so he says. He recently opened up about his mental health struggles, and people have seen and appreciated a new side to him. He spends his time on social media using it as a positive platform to help spread awareness, and also shares his journey with God. In the 3rd spot is Robert Downey Jr. His career took off in the 80s, but his snag after he had multiple run-ins with the law and spent some time in rehab. I don't know if people hated him, but they didn't really agree with his lifestyle and behavior at the time. In 1996, he was caught with an unloaded gun in his car. A few months later, he was cited for trespassing. Overall, he was arrested multiple times, spent time in prison, and was kicked off of his show Ally McBeal. But then, in 2003, his career started to pick up and he made this massive comeback. He has been loved for many years after dominating the box office as Iron Man back in 2008. He is the man now. The Iron Man. Taking over 2nd place is Martha Stewart. She is the motherhood of food after having a successful catering company, a series of best-selling books, and her own talk show. She's always been a businesswoman worth millions, but she went from businesswoman to prison mate when found guilty of insider trading. She was also charged with obstruction of injustice and conspiracy and served 5 months in prison. People were not happy with her actions, but after she got out of prison, she turned a new leaf and was able to make her company profitable again. She even has a show with Snoop Dogg. It's called Martha and Snoop's Potluck Dinner Party. So you can't hate her now. Like, she's chilling with Snoop Dogg on a show. It's hard to hate her now. In our number 1 spot is Johnny Depp. You've probably seen or heard the wild lawsuit case that he's going through right now against his ex-wife Amber Heard. The successful actor lost everything and was one of the most hated actors in Hollywood after Amber came forward claiming that he and left her with bruises all over her face. But over time, the truth came out and evidence proved that she was lying and she was abusing him. Audio footage leaks that heard her say she was going to purposely lie about it because the world would never believe his side and that she wanted to take down his career basically. So now people are coming to his defense and feel bad for ever hating him.